What's going on, guys? Back again with another one, talking about health, wealth, happiness, success, getting money, getting rich, being great, all the fantastic stuff in life, right? And I'm just enjoying this beautiful day. Just got done with a major run, and figured I'd drop some gems for you guys. So in this video, oh yeah, go ahead and hit a like and subscribe if you're coming on in too. At least you can throw me a like, right? So in this video, I want to talk about purpose. Purpose. Most people never think about their purpose. What are you meant to be doing here, right? Because I'm telling you, I can't get the words out of my mouth, but I guarantee you it's not a job. I guarantee you it's not working till you're 65 and then hanging out for a little bit until you kick the bucket. We're not here to work a job. And, you know, the people that run this world, they know this. And so they keep you distracted all day, chasing degrees, chasing stuff, chasing cars, chasing clothes, chasing pieces of paper that do nothing for your life. And this is why so many people end up, you know, they'll get to these high positions at work and they'll still be miserable because you ain't supposed to be doing that. So discovering your purpose. The easiest way I like to think about discovering my purpose, or I like to think about what my purpose is in life, is the first question you need to ask yourself is, what would you do if you had all the money in the world? That is, I think, the best and easiest way to start thinking about your purpose in life. What would you do if you had all the money in the world? If I had all the money in the world, I would do X. I would do, and you know, where would you live, right? What type of person would you be? Who would you want to help? Who would you want to inspire? How would you want to give back to humanity, right? That is what ultimately you're supposed to be doing in life. Now, again, you're not going to know what you're supposed to do. You're not going to know what your purpose is overnight, right? Just by asking that question one time. You're supposed to ponder all the time. Because, again, you're going to have to break all of the programming that society's put on you, right? Chasing degrees and chasing promotions and chasing quarterly awards so you can stand up there and get a piece of paper and everybody can clap because you worked harder than everybody else at the job. You got to break all of that, right? And, again, the easiest way that I feel... you know, the question that you can ask to even start taking the first steps to getting that, right? Or to understanding what your purpose is what would you do if you had all the money in the world, right? Now, the first thing everybody, because we've been conditioned by society, the first thing everybody's going to think about is what they can buy with the money, right? And it's not about what you can buy. It's about what the money allows you to do. It's the money allows the freedom, right? The freedom to come and go as you please. The freedom to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, where you want. And what does that look like to you? And it's going to be different for everybody else. And so I really, really love that question, right? What would you do if you had all the money in the world? It's not drinking margaritas on the beach. Now, I do love the beach. I love the water. This is why I live where I live, right? But it's not about just relaxing and chilling, right? That's going to get old after a while. I ask myself that all the time, right? I like working out. And it's just like, okay, well, if I had all the money in the world, like, how would I give back? How would I help other people? What would I do? I mean, if you had all the money in the world, I could just go open up a bunch of gyms around the world, right? And have my own, name plastered on a bunch of gyms and create my own chain of gyms. Like, if you had, again, this is just like a random example, but if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? What would you be doing with your time? Where would you live? Where would you go? How would you give back? And once you start asking yourself these questions, and thinking about this, really deeply thinking about it, your brain, right, has these neurons in your brain, and they will start connecting. These strands will start connecting, right? It's how we learn in life, right, with our brain. When you're learning a language, your mind is connecting these neurons together, and you're able to figure stuff out. Or like riding a bike, for example. That might be a better example. Riding a bike, right? You learn how to ride a bike once. Now your brain understands where to put your hands, how to do the pedals, how to balance. This is also what happens when you start thinking about your purpose in life, what you're supposed to be doing, what you came here to do. You start pondering on this question, and your brain will start connecting those neurons together, trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing here? How am I supposed to give back? And, again, we need money to live, right? So work your job. Do what you need to do while you're trying to break out. Get your money and, pay your bills. But then, again, live below your means, stack the rest of your money up, and so you can have more time to figure out what you're supposed to do. What am I, now I can use this money as a tool, that's all it is. It's just a tool that allows you to get where you want to go in life. That's what it's all about, man. It's not about working a job. It's what am I supposed to be doing with my life? Because it's not a job. It's not a 9 to 5. I don't care what you're doing in life. It's not a 9 to 5. Now, there are certain career paths that some people would like to take that, again, allows them to give back, right? Maybe they want to be a doctor. And it's like, okay, well, that's a job, yeah, but that's also a path to allow you to help other humans. But most people are just doing meaningless jobs, meaningless tasks, not really, doing anything amazing with their lives. Or, again, nobody's saying you have to go save the world, but it's just like, what would you like to do with your time, right? How can you spend the time doing the things that you want to do and giving back and getting paid to do that? And again, this isn't going to come overnight. This is something you're going to have to ask yourself, but the world constantly needs you distracted, right? Distracted with sports, distracted with music, distracted with movies, distracted with politics. All of this stuff takes your mind away from figuring out what you're supposed to do in life. I remember I had to go somewhere for something, right? And I was in the waiting room, and there was another guy in there, and he was talking to somebody else. And the guy was saying how he was so invested in football, right? And he was so invested in these college players that just finished with the combine, and they were going to go to the league, right? They were going to be professionals. And he was like, yeah, this guy, he came from this school, and I'm watching this and I'm watching that, and he was running a 4 whatever in the 40-yard dash, and blah 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 blah. And the guy who was talking, right, he had to have been about 6'7", 6'8", 250, 260. And I'm like, why are you constantly living your life through somebody else? Like, don't you want to be that person? You could have made it to the league. I'm like, this guy was huge. And I'm like, so many people are distracted and living their lives through other people while they continuously do jobs and do things that they don't like to do or don't want to do with their life. It's so crazy to me. It's just like, this world, right? You can become a player in the game, right? You don't have to just live your life through somebody else while you go to your job and work and work a job you don't want to work, or spend time doing something you don't want to do around people you don't want to be around. So again, when it comes to discovering your purpose, it's all about asking yourself that question, man. I feel like that is like the core question. If I had all the money in the world, what would I be doing with my time? Who would I be? Who would I become? Who would I like to become? How would I like to give back? And again, that's a huge one too, like how to give back, because that is the main question, or not the main question, but that's the main thing we're supposed to be doing here as humans. We are supposed to be helping each other, giving back to each other, creating value for each other. And now you need to figure out how you can do that in your specific way, in the way that you would like to do that to earn money, right? That is when you start hitting that wealth frequency, that wealth timeline. How can I make money doing something that I love to do by helping other humans, becoming more valuable? And it's been like that through all throughout history, right? Again, you go back, thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, somebody was good at hunting, somebody was good at fishing, somebody was good at, spotting danger, somebody was good at building shelter. And so everybody specialized, and we all came together to help each other out. Nothing has changed, right? But so many people have just been put into this daze of distraction and just, chasing things that don't matter, working a job that you hate, right? And then on top of that, because you hate your job so much, because you hate your life so much, you want to put all of your time into stuff, right? My job sucks, so let me go buy a new car, right? My job sucks, so let me go buy a boat. Right? I hate my life, so let me go reward myself with stuff. And it's just all like, but if you loved your life, you wouldn't even really need the stuff anymore. It is really crazy. The distractions and everything that we're doing as humans. But when you can live in your purpose, man, that is when everything clicks for you. That's when you start really living your life. And you'll see everything around yourself get better too, right? When you start living in your purpose, you'll see everything in your life just start getting better. Your body will get better. Your relationships will get better. People will want to be around you more. People, you know what I'm saying? Like it's so crazy. Your aura, your energy, it just brings it. Like everybody can feel that, the warmth coming off of you when you start living in your purpose, when you start doing what you're supposed to be doing. There's no hate in that. There's no depression in that. There's no anxiety in that. You want to see everybody win, right? That's why so many people don't really like their job to begin with. They go to their job and everybody hates it. You're around people and negative energies and people who are depressed and have anxiety and always complaining. That's because they're not supposed to. You're around a bunch of people who aren't supposed to be doing what they're doing. It's like, who wants to be around that, right? But when you're around a bunch of people who are in their purpose, now the energy is light. The energy is warm. everybody's laughing, everybody's in abundance, everybody's, feeling good about life. That's where you want to be. Those are the people you want to be around. And to get there, you must ask yourself that question, right? And I have heard this question posed another way, where people are saying, oh, if money didn't exist. Well, money has to exist, right? Money has to exist. If I want somebody's bananas, but they don't want my house, and then the person with the bananas, they want a cow, so now they don't want my house, but they want a cow, so now I got to find somebody with a cow and get them, and now I got to get somebody with the cow to be like, hey, I need your cow because I need these bananas. What do you want, right? So we need this money. It allows us to exchange between everybody, or exchange value between everybody. And it allows everybody to specialize in their, their fields or whatever they want to work in, or whatever they want to do with their life. So we do need money. So I always like the question posed the opposite way. If you had all the money in the world, what would you do? Who would you be? Who would you become? How would you help back? How would you give back to other humans? And once you find that, that is where your purpose lies. But most people, again, they never ask themselves that question. So yeah, man, I think I'm going to go ahead and leave that one right there. Hopefully you guys are having a beautiful day, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Peace.